All right, Niels, I am making this video based on that question you asked in Slack. So here we go. So processes, systems, reports, and just an overarching strategy for making a client business function as smoothly as possible. So bear with me, I am doing this in real time, so I may be making some adjustments to this as we go, but I'm going to outline some of the things that I've learned in the last couple of years building agency products and services. So first thing to think about is if you want to run a process that is consistent to some extent, then you're going to need some form of consistency on the front end. So that's the first is qualifying. This is before you've landed a client, right? This is essentially positioning yourself as a solution to a very specific problem. So let me send this to the back here. So the first stage of the process is you producing an asset, a series of assets, a story that helps people understand that they are in a position to benefit from what you do. So this is the first portion of the process. So that is what ensures the people that you come into contact with are the types of people that you want to work with. So I could go into a lot of detail on this particular section, but let's just use this example now of let's say it's a microsite that they come through, and this is marketing agency X. I'm going to use an example from earlier in this week's Slack chat, which would be we build digital ecosystems for esports athletes. Okay. Right. So that is the first thing to figure out is what it is and who it's for. So this is the qualifying stage. So you are sending traffic to this asset, whether it's a web page, a video, a series of emails, whatever it is, it's positioning you as the solution to a problem and identifying a person that you want to work with. Your qualifying then becomes a filter for application. So these people, will be fewer people here than receive the qualifying material, obviously. But the application piece is you typically having a conversation with prospects. So people who this message resonated with are wanting to speak with you to get their hands on the solution that you provide. So the way I've seen this work successfully in the past is to have a system where these people need to provide you with information before you spend time talking with them. So this would be, I use Calendly for this. So you have a calendar invite set up, and that would be a function of this page here. And on this page, you ask people the things that you need to know in order to ensure that they're going to be a good client. So can you make financial decisions on behalf of your business? how mature is your business? How big is the audience? Have you got enough content that we could work with to provide the service that we provide? All of the questions that you can qualify someone with, put that on the form before you allow them to book a slot on your calendar. So you can then review those applications. So you just move this. We'll move this here. So you have these prospects. Sorry, Figma. Prospects here. Okay. They go through this process. You vet those applications as they come onto your calendar. And if somebody doesn't meet the criteria, then you can cancel their call and just say, hey, look, we're not in a position to help you right now. We haven't built this service for people at your current stage of X. So here's a couple free resources you can follow, etc., etc. I'm just gonna color code these so you know what a certain number of people come through. So this is, from a systems perspective, this is protecting your time, right? This is, you're producing content at this front end. You go even further back here. We could call this marketing on this side. So this is, are you making this is whatever format is natural to you. So could be video, could be podcast, could be writing articles, could be organic content, could be presentations. You know the deal. Those assets all speaking to this persona and leading them to this asset here, right? So I click a call to action off this. I get to here, and then I apply. I go here, and then maybe I make it through to getting on your calendar over here. All right. So if you're following so far, now we can go into the onboarding process. So onboarding could look a lot of different ways, but this is obviously dependent on the service you provide. But agency services, in my experience, this onboarding experience is really information gathering exercise. So you want to begin to get all the information you need from this person in order to provide the service that you are providing. So if you're doing a esoteric branding exercise, this could be asking them their story. This could be asking them for, this is all the nitty gritty stuff that you need to happen. So it could be input for the creative process, but it also could be things like payment information. It could be things like their hosting, their logins for platforms that you're going to be posting for them on their behalf. It could be integrations with certain platforms. It's just all of the things that you kind of waste your time going back and forth on. If you have a specific set of deliverables and you are working against that list, you know exactly what it is you need to receive in order to sorry about this, in order to make those things happen. So this could be accomplished in a couple of different ways. Could be a Google form, could be an Asana workflow, could be a Basecamp project, could be a Notion board, could be an Airtable. So find something that works. So when I say Basecamp, so you want to productize this as best as possible. Put that over here. And all of this stuff can be set up as an integration, right? As soon as somebody says, yep, I'm in, then you send them, perhaps the first step in this process is a Stripe link. So you say, hey, pay your bill, and then we'll get going. And as soon as that bill is paid, they enter this sequence of information gathering or resource understanding, figuring out all the entities that you're going to need to contribute to, etc., etc. Then you get into your process and reviews. So this is doing the work at this point, which again, project management software is probably the best system at this point in time. You could be using things like you could do asynchronous reviews with things like InVision. You could send videos over with Loom, the software I'm using right now. You could have live calls. More often than not, it's not necessary, but figure out what that sequence is. You can visualize something for your client that explains all of this stuff during the info gathering phase here. So kind of this transition between the two. Use software to show what this timeline is and say, look, you are at this point in the process, you've given us X amount of information. That's great. Next, next there'll be a review on this day, there'll be another review on this day, and there'll be another review on that day. Okay, cool. Everybody agreed? There's a great metaphor on this. Jim in the group hit me with this one. It's as long as you have a sign behind the bar that says no shoes, no shirt, no service, you can always just point at that sign. So this is essentially the device that you have to say to your client, you are here. This is where you are in the process. This is where the process is going. How do I rotate this? You're here. Once we get a week in, then there's going to be a review, then there's going to be another review, blah, 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 etc., etc. It's a device that you could build in a number of different tools. A lot of these project management softwares have that capability built in. These could be, again, depends what you're doing. Could be prototypes, could be, there's a couple of, if you do video work, there's a couple of platforms where you can present video asynchronously and get feedback in a contextual way. So, frame X needs to happen, this color needs to be changed, etc., etc. So you can set all of those expectations in your timeline here. And then once you've delivered that stuff, I think an intelligent thing to have as part of your process is the ability to collect feedback. So that can be done, again, in a number of ways. You can use things like Google Forms. You can use, there's a few platforms where you can get video testimonials. I'm trying to think, I think Video Ask is one by Typeform. This is also something that you can ask for in between these stages. So you could get testimonials between stages here. And then the beauty of this is you can plug this guy, back into your marketing on the front end, and the cycle continues. So your process continues to refine itself through experience. How do I do that? I'll just copy. So you have this closed loop system. Yeah, so there's obviously more detail that can be explored at any one of these stages, but hopefully that gives you an idea of at least how I've thought about it for a long time, and how a system like this can work really effectively, especially when you have a productized version of your service that you can build a lot of structure and rules around, and your clients actually end up in a better place because of that structure. So do a quick zoom out here. Let's put this in the middle. So hopefully this gives you some clarity. I can give you a link to this document as well if you want to mess about with it, but let's call this, let's see, systems framework. Cool. All right, let me know what you think. If you've got any other questions, happy to answer them. Cheers, mate. Bye.